Hey guys. Okay, so in this video, I wanted to make a little bit of some commentary about my experience in playing all of the pieces that I played for my junior recital at the University of Florida for the School of Music. Um, this video is really just so that you can get an idea of how I felt while I was playing the songs that I played, about the composers and about, just the ideas that I had while I was playing those songs, so that, you can get an idea, a little bit more of an idea of what it was like from my perspective as a performer, of what it was like to have, to be in that position where I played their songs. Okay, so I'm trying to think of the best way to do this, and I'm thinking that I want to do this in a chronological order based on the pieces that I played. And the first piece that I actually played was Sonata by none other than Joseph by Franz Joseph Haydn. And Franz Joseph Haydn was an Austrian composer from the classical period, and he was also known as the father of the symphony. And he spent a lot of his time as a court musician for the wealthy Esterhazy family at the Esterhazy Castle, and he was also a friend and mentor of Mozart, a tutor of Beethoven, and an older brother of the composer Michael Haydn. By the way, I'm actually looking at this from Wikipedia, even though I already learned this from music school. I often have to refresh myself on these kinds of facts. I do know that Haydn was from the classical period, obviously, but I do want to just like give you a little bit of a background so that you know from what time period he is from. Again, he is from the classical period. He's an Austrian composer, and so he was born on March 31st, 1732, and died on May 31st, 1809. Okay, so um, and of course, he contributed to the musical form of the sonata, something of which I have a video on some of my basic music teaching videos that I put up on my channel. Okay, so when it comes to my opinion about what I felt when I was playing Haydn, okay, I only played the first sonata of his E flat major sonata, and to be honest with you, there was a lot of it that, it was supposed to be a very like improvised sonata. Why? Because it had a lot of segments that running through it where the beats didn't always land, in a very even subdivided manner, or seemingly in a very even subdivided manner, and the uh, there was just so much playfulness to the song. I think that Sonata was one of the later sonatas that Haydn wrote. But even if I still felt like there was a lot to it that still felt a little bit mechanical, only because like it was so rhythmic, and I can't stress to you how much I had to practice with the metronome to get that piece right. You know, especially with classical music. Now, like when I was a lot younger, and I did a lot of piano competitions, I won a state piano competition here in Florida for the junior 2B division for Mozart. And, when I practiced for that, I always had to use the metronome so that I could get everything even and perfect. And practicing with the metronome definitely helps no matter what instrument you're playing, by the way. So, yeah, there's a lot about Haydn that is kind of metronomical, but still, that's also a strength, because it makes the music very strong and solid. It's just very solid sounding, and that's what I like about Haydn. I think that there is a reason, after all, that they call him the father of the symphony. I mean, you can't get a symphony to come together unless you have a really solid rhythm to keep everything together. I mean, a lot is going on. There's a lot of sounds that are happening at the same time when you have a symphony, right? So, in order to get that going, I mean, you have to have a strong metronomic feel. So that's Haydn. Um, okay, what about the next composer? I believe I I believe I do believe that I had played Chopin next. I do believe. Yes. So for Chopin, I played Ballade number 2. And he was born Frédéric François Chopin, and he was a Polish composer, even though he was, primarily I think he worked in France, and he was one of the leading composers of the Romantic era. He was a virtuoso pianist, and, I think that the piece, the Ballade number 2, was written when he visited Spain. He actually visited the island of Majorca, and I think after that he was inspired to write this, Ballade number 2. And, seemingly people would say that it's one of the less exciting ballades because the beginning is very slow. It was extremely slow to like play through it. Bum 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 bum. It's so slow. But if you were to like, look at the bigger picture with all the ballades, it does come together in a very beautiful array. It's almost like if you were to imagine like a big screen divider and it had like paintings of like each of the seasons on it, it's almost like that. Like it has its own winter, spring, summer, fall kind of thing going on. It's really pretty because they're all different. And gosh, the fourth ballade is really beautiful. You have to listen to that one. It's really beautiful, although it's really hard to play. It's the hardest one. Okay, so the second ballade, it was really interesting because I almost felt like I had to stretch my emotion. It made me like feel like I was experiencing like a roller coaster of emotions because I had to like immerse myself into this, and I had been practicing this for years, mind you. I had been practicing it for a long time. I had to like there are just several sections that are slow and then suddenly fast, and then slow and then fast, and then the ending is extremely agitated sounding, and then it ends on this really slow section where it feels like everything just collapsed. Okay, um, you know, Chopin, was also friends with other composers like Liszt and influenced other composers like Schumann during the time. And the Romantic era was known for its like need to the style was like known for its need to like reach for the sublime, for the things that can't be reached, for longing for things that you can't have. And yeah, I definitely felt that. I definitely felt like while I was playing the song, I was trying to do something that I couldn't do. I mean, that's just my opinion about it. I don't want to get into too many details because, of course, there are a lot of other things going on from that piece that I experienced, but it was just basically like that. Chopin is really an interesting character. I really do recommend playing some of his pieces if you're a piano player. If you can get to the level where you can start playing Chopin, your knowledge of music will really, really be different because when you play music, you're really stretching your heartstrings. You're like learning how to like emote in ways that you might have never learned before. When you start immersing yourself in different songs, because you're feeling what these composers have felt, when you start playing it and you start getting into it, you really start to feel it. So, just my 2 cents on that. Then I had a break, and then after that I had, because there was an intermission, and then after that I had Liszt. All right, Franz Liszt. Franz Liszt was a Hungarian composer, and not only that, he was also a music teacher, a virtuoso pianist. Apparently, he was also a philanthropist and also an organist. From the Romantic era. He was, friends and a promoter of other composers like Chopin, Wagner, Berlioz, Schumann, Clara Schumann, Camille Saint-Saëns, Edvard Grieg, and other composers like from that time. I'm sorry, I'm not mentioning some of the other ones that I'm not that familiar with. But Liszt, I do remember from music school that he was one of the like first pianists to start this concept of the recital, where you would play for people at the recital, and like apparently like people would like, especially women, they would just like fall in love with him because like his fingers were like unimaginably fast. he could just like play the piano like almost like the devil. Like apparently, like if Paganini was like had an equivalent for the piano, it would have been Liszt because Liszt was really, really extremely fast at playing piano. His technique was like wildly and insanely um, talented. Like he could play really amazingly, just very amazingly on the piano. Um, and I'm talking, and while I mean, like I'm talking about like arpeggiating. I'm talking about playing octaves, like rapid octaves. Um, I mean, just listen to some of the songs that Liszt has on YouTube. You can find other people playing Liszt pieces, and it's just a completely different realm of piano music if you start listening to him. I played um, Waldesrauschen, which is like I think Forest Murmurs or something, and then also um, also Nomenreigen, which was a piece that meant like Dance of the Gnomes. In fact, I have that as a music technology project, and I had a music tech project that I put on my YouTube channel to like show different locations of when I practiced it or whatever. But yeah, so the first one, you know, these are the transcendental etudes, so they're like supposed to like lead you to the sublime as well. Oh well, as well. There's still romantic era. You still feel that like sublime kind of feeling, and you have like this. Uh, it's almost like leading a little bit to impressionism because you what first Murmurs is supposed to be like soundscaping. You're like it's supposed to make you imagine that like you're in the forest and you hear whispers and things like that, and it's really pretty like if you listen to it. And when I play it, it kind of doesn't make sense tonically, but the more I play it, I think like the more I played it, the more I got used to it to just remember what to play. And then when I listened to it, it was a completely different thing. It sounded good when I listened to it. When I played it, it felt different. um, so that's Waldesrauschen, and then Nomenreigen was a like completely different like type of piece because it was very fast. Waldesrauschen was like sparkling kind of, and then Nomenreigen was jumpy. So I had to play two different types of styles from Liszt, and that was really, really cool. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Um, I did. I really did. And then after that, there was Debussy. And Debussy was a French composer who was known for Impressionism. He was the first Impressionist composer, sorry. He's from 1862 to 1918. And Debussy like wrote songs like, for example, like Clair de Lune. It's a very famous song. Um, and also Gollywog's Cakewalk. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with that one, but his pieces are impressionist, meaning that they are definitely like supposed to paint a picture. Okay, while you play it, you're supposed to imagine something's going on. The I'll Joy You, which I played, was supposed to describe like a joyous island, a very happy island, and I don't know why, but like as a Filipino American, I started imagining my mom's island where she grew up from, which was Negros Island, and I remember it as being a happy island because whenever I visited, look, I mean, like I've never been to Hawaii or anything like that, but it's really pretty. It's just it's really extremely tropical. There are a lot of coconuts, and the mountain view is very pretty. Mount Kanlaon is really pretty to view. Um, the the seashore, it's not. It's the seashore doesn't have the best beach there because I don't think that everybody goes to the beach in Negros Island. It's not really known for like the beach, especially in the Bacolod area. Maybe if you go to like Panay and you go to Boracay, that's different because the beach there is really beautiful. But I'm saying in Negros Island, but generally the view there is really pretty. I mean, especially if you go to like a high rise area, like and go to an apartment and look around. Of course, it's like the Philippines, and it's probably not going to look as pretty as New York, but it's still really pretty when you have the mountain view. and the tropical breeze and the sun shining down on you. And that's what I imagined when I played that piece. I actually was like imagining, like trying to imagine like when, like, I don't know, it sounds crazy, but like I was imagining like when Magellan first came to the Philippines and discovered Cebu, like maybe that it felt like it was a very like charming discovery because it's an island and it's like in a tropical area. So that's how I felt. Like I tried to just imagine, and make a story while I was playing it to make it fun. And and then after that, at the end of the whole recital, I played my own composition, and that was the Waltz in F minor. Um, and that was not too difficult for me to play, although I will mention that there were a lot of not just cuts, but a lot of also um, not just improvised parts, but also modifications to the song, because the written form that I have is a little bit different from how I played it at my recital. Only because I think I didn't practice that one as much. I kind of treated that one as like an encore. Um, and I think in my video it might look like it's in the middle, but I think when I played it, it was really at the end. So, but yeah, that's just how I felt about like when I played those songs. Um, how I felt during, the whole experience of practicing it. This is not a thorough and comprehensive explanation of every single detail of like what I went through to practice it, of course. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of perspective, like to let you know, like from a performer's perspective, because I don't think that people hear it all the time, like in interviews with like performers and pianists. What was it like when you played and practiced this piece? Not many people do that. Yeah, so I just wanted to like, put it out there and let you know that, hey, like, I mean, like, I'm experiencing it too as a human being. Like, I have a lot of different emotions that I go through, and like, I see things in certain ways while I practice songs, and especially for piano, and it's a process, learning praises is a process that um, has a lot of like emotional and like mental impact on the person who's playing it, because learning something, especially by composers from a place and time that is different, completely different from yours, it takes a lot of energy out of you to like to get to a point where you can empathize it, especially if you're not from that place or from that time. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to express. And again, I hope that you all have a great day. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you soon. Bye!